Welcome to the Kingspiration podcast. This is the place where you'll learn how to get unstuck and gain momentum in your life and business. Each week, we tackle the real aspects of entrepreneurship, personal development, relationships, and fitness. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA, entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa, entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures, sharing wisdom and experiences to propel you forward. Welcome to Kingspiration. Let's start the conversation.
So let's rise that. What are some of the tools you use? You mentioned Whoop. So what else? What are some other things that you use?
So yeah, I don't actually use Whoop. Looked at it a few times. Haven't pulled the trigger. I'm quite a big Garmin and Strava fan. So one thing I don't do, which I do need to do more religiously, is tracking just being aware of the rest periods. So I'm pretty good about sleep. I try to get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep every single night, and I prioritize sleep. And I'm more of a morning person, so I generally bed pretty early and I rise pretty early, and then try and get into the training and get to gym and get some exercise in the morning. So sleep is a big thing for me, but I don't take enough rest days as far as not training are concerned. So
Gotcha.
That is and I think ultimately that leads to a little bit of fatigue that I'm not always aware of. I'll eventually get to a gym session or go out for a run and the body just says, no, not today. So that's kind of how I track whether or not I'm feeling good or not from that point of view. But yeah, on the app side, it's really just Garmin, Strava are my two main apps that I use just to track a few vital stats, but not too much else.
Those are both super reliable brands that I've heard a lot of great things about. One thing with sleep, when you have school age kids, it definitely throws a wrench in your sleep schedule. Because before I had kids, if I stayed up too late working on a project or whatever, partying, I could just make up for it the next morning. Yeah. But now there's always that 8 o'clock drop off. So this morning, I was up pretty late last night because we actually had an EO event. It was an awesome event too. We had a fireside chat with a billionaire who came up through the ranks in EO over here and invested in many businesses, David Cummings. So we'll have to talk about some of those teachings on a different episode. But, I was up pretty late and, got up this morning, took the kids to school, got back in the bed. And then now I'm jumping on this podcast with you. So I'm kind of, if I sound a little groggy and out of whack, my Rise app is telling me that I'm still in the groggy phase right now.
Well, geez, if this is you groggy when you are on point, you must be on fire.
I know how to fake it pretty well.
Today we are going to be chatting in a little bit more detail or depth around getting psyched up, getting out of a slump. What other terms could we use for that?
Yeah, and this is, we were talking about short-term stuff, but longer term, what do you do when you feel like you're in a slump, you're going through a down period, you're not feeling motivated, even possibly depressed? What are some ways that you use to kind of get out of those cycles?
Yeah, I've got a few ideas around it. I think what comes up for me, what really stood out for me when I first started giving this some thought is there's a quote that's used in cricket a lot, and possibly in other sports as well. But I mean, I watch a lot of cricket, and they speak about the fact that form is temporary, but class is permanent. Form is temporary, but class is permanent. Because in cricket, and I'm guessing baseball as well, the batsmen in particular go through highs and lows with regards to their form. And so let's call that a slump if they're not scoring the runs that they should be. But all the really top class players, you can always apply that line or that saying to them that form is temporary but class is permanent, because they're going to come out of it. So that got me thinking. I think a lot of getting out of a slump or getting yourself psyched up is looking at the undeniable proof that you had previously that this isn't it's not a permanent hollow that you have to just dwell in. You are going to come out on the other side of it, and you've got a track record behind you that proves that. Right. And Alex Hormozy actually speaks a lot about the fact that it's having a positive mindset isn't about looking in the mirror and using a whole bunch of mantras. I think there is place for that. But he says it's about having this the stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are, and it's about outworking your self-doubt. And I think a lot of getting out of a slump and getting yourself psyched up is about just remembering who you are and what you've done previously. So that's my first thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually going to say something very similar along those lines. A tool I use is gratitude journaling. And I know we hear a lot about that, gratitude, and it can sound kind of cheesy and woo-woo, but there's actually science behind it, where if you start your day with gratitude and end your day with gratitude, then the science that everything in between will feel so much better because you're framing it with those 2 points. And it's as simple as, so I used to use the 5-minute journal. And then I actually came out, when I published my book, I published a companion journal, the Wealth Beyond Money companion journal, where it walks you through these steps. But first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, you keep it next to your bedside and you write down 3 things you're thankful for. And I get super granular. It may be, the smell of the bacon in the kitchen in the morning, or the fact that I was able to wake up in on this soft bed and not be out on the streets, or, whatever, my wife next to me. But every day it's 3 things that I'm thankful for. And then I go to bed with, what are 3 amazing things that happened today? So, because even if you've had a shitty day, you can think of the top 3 things that were great that day and go to bed with those thoughts on your mind. So that's one hack I use for me. And then if you flip back through your gratitude journal and read through old posts, then that's that stacking that you were talking about, where it reminds you of how awesome your life really is,
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think, I think I take it almost a step back, and simplify it a little bit more for myself. So I'm a person, I get into my head quite a lot. It's something that I'm working through at the moment. And I often feel that before I can take the level of possibly, going to use the term again, getting psyched up, I actually have to first just make sure that I'm not getting psyched down or getting psyched out by that story or that narrative that's just subconsciously going through my head about not being able to deliver on this, or not being enough in a certain respect. And I often just need to get myself to a space of neutral, which is where I feel I can really perform well from. So before I even take, as I say, that next step to like being pumped and psyched up and whatever it is, I need to almost get myself to neutral. And I'm hoping this might be useful, or might resonate with some of the listeners, but to always feel that we've got to take that extra jump, because if you're below base, if you're below neutral, and you feel like you've got to climb above and beyond in order to get to that really psyched up, on top of the world type of feeling, sometimes it's okay just to take that first tier, get to neutral, and neutral is a great place to be able to make really good decisions from, because it's you playing what you see in front of you. You're not being influenced by any of those negative thoughts or something that's happened previously, and you're not getting too far ahead of yourself. So for me, that's a little hack that I have. And the thing that I literally say to myself is, you've done this before, you've got this. Yeah. You've done this before, you've got this. And that just helps me get to that place of neutral. And then I feel like I can really attack from there.
Yeah, I love it. And then, another big part of it for me, and I've actually just come out of a slump very recently, so this is relevant. So I forget how closely tied my performance in business and in life is to my physical performance. And so I recently came out of a knee injury. I tore my meniscus, so that affected my ability to run. I could run, but there was pain. So I said, well, I should probably get this checked out. So I got an x-ray and went to physical therapy. So I had a torn meniscus. The guy told me to stop running for a while. I can do other stuff, swimming, biking. And then, of course, I did physical therapy a couple of times a week for a month. And he gave me the exercises to get my glutes and my ankle, all that stuff right. Worked on my position. My running form was a little bit off, which was causing issues. But while I was going through that period where I couldn't run, because running is something that I do every single day, just about for the past, 15 years. I used to hate running before that, but then once I got into it, I just became addicted to it. And when you stop doing something like that, it affected me mentally and kind of brought me down in all these other areas. But once I started back running, because I'm back up to now about 7 miles with no knee pain. So I feel like, yes, I'm back. And I've noticed that things in my business have started taking off as well. Like we've had record months for the past 2 months. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Is this causation or correlation or what? Is it related? I don't know. But I feel like it's happened so many times in my life where if I prioritize my exercise and I'm nailing it in my physical realm, then everything else seems to fall in place for me.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And we're very aligned in our thinking, because in my notes here, I've got one big word, and it's routine. And I think that's it. It's very much linked to what you're speaking about now. And sometimes in order to move forward and get out of the slump, is you need to look back, because probably 99% of the time, that's a bro stat, but a large majority of the time, you'll find that something has fallen out of what your usual routine was. Whether you're not getting the sleep, you're not doing the exercise, you're only getting to gym and you're not getting to run, or you're not getting any exercise at all. Something would have changed in that routine that you had built up, that it had got you to that performance level that you were feeling, let's say, close to optimal at. And as soon as you figure out that, and you can build it back into your routine, like you've said, it makes a huge, huge difference to where you are mentally, and then performance, and it impacts all areas of your life. You'll start seeing the small changes in your relationships, and how you're showing up for your friends, how you're showing up for your family, how things are going at work. So routine is and even I don't think everyone always loves the word routine. Some people will say that routine's not for them. Call it what you want. There's certain elements that they like to stack that makes them perform at the level that they want to.
Yeah. So, and speaking of routine, we probably should end it on this topic with this one. But so in my book, Wealth Beyond Money, I talk about my morning routine. And, so one aha moment that I've had from this Rise app that we were talking about earlier is when you first wake up, it tells you have about 60 to 90 minutes of time where you're just groggy. You may not realize it, because you can wake up and, hit the ground running and start thinking, you hear people, I've even heard Alex Hormozi say he just starts working as soon as you wake up. But your brain takes a while to actually wake up. You're in this state of grogginess. So what I do is I say, well, since I'm groggy anyway, let me go ahead and do my workout. I don't have to think about that. Just put on my shoes, go outside and run or hit the weights. It doesn't require heavy mental thought. So I might as well knock that out while I'm groggy. So I do my morning, and I've always thought that before, but now I kind of understand the science behind it. Like, it's another reason to prioritize your health and fitness. But with my routine, I call it the gamer's routine. So it's gratitude journaling, like I talked about earlier. I do my written affirmations, which is something that I picked up from Tim Ferriss, where writing down the same sentence 15 times. And then it starts with like an I am statement that you want to make actual in the future. And then M is meditating. Haven't been religious and strict with my meditation, but when I do meditate, do transcendental meditation, I feel better. And then the E is for the exercise part. And then R is for reading something, whether it's an audio book or picking up a book and reading it. Kind of works two different parts of the brain. And then the S part is for sharing something with others. Like we're doing now on this podcast, we're sharing things that we learn with other people. So that spells this acronym GAMERS, which I think is pretty cool, because we're all in this game of life, right? It's all just a game. Don't take yourself too seriously.
I love it. We've all got to be gamers. How do we clock this game? Or how do we keep working towards getting to that next level? So I think that's a great place to end. Thanks, Ethan.
All right. Awesome. On to the next episode.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Kingspiration. We hope this conversation sparked insights to ignite action in your life and business.
We're on this journey together, sharing our challenges and successes to help all of us take the next step towards building momentum and ultimately reaching our goals.
If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone else who might benefit and leave us a 5-star review.
And remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on our weekly conversations. Until next time, keep rolling, keep growing, and keep being inspired.